Snow looks dramatic, but it's the wet that is your greatest threat. And that rhymes. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you what happens to fire, your mobility, and your ability to be successful in a cold weather situation. Taking advantage of the storm of the century here in Kentucky. So stay tuned. The first problem we encounter is that the ground is a heat sink and everything is saturated. Fire on frozen wet ground dies fast through conduction, so we have to isolate it. We do this by building a raised platform or a raised fire. So obviously in wet weather environments, we need to have dry tinder. This ain't gonna cut it. You're not gonna get dry material when everything is caked in about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 inch of ice. We also can't rely on deadfall because it's covered in snow and it's covered in ice. So we have to redirect our attention from the ground to a pyre. Moisture travels down. And so if we look towards the ground, that's where all the moisture is going to be. So we have to move our sights upward in order to find drier material. Also, if we take into consideration the windward side of where the predominant winds are coming, we see the cedar tree behind me that is covered in ice. This is the direction that the wind came from and that the rain came from. However, if we take a look at the backside where there wasn't a lot of wind and the branches and the boughs were blocking a lot of the moisture, we see dry bark. So when we play the factors to our advantage, we have this whole cedar tree that basically blocked all of that rain and all of that wind and all of that ice from falling. So I can just start peeling bark off of here. Even though this is dry, I want to get into the inner bark where it's really going to be dry, because that moisture in the air is still going to get absorbed by this outer layer. Also, I want to make sure that I protect my tinder. I don't want to just set it on the ground. And so I want to get to this innermost stuff right here, where this is all dry. When collecting material, tinder has to be protected before ignition, not after. Inner bark, fatwood shavings, processed feather sticks are not wishful thinking.
So when it comes to kindling in the rain and snow, you're not looking for dry wood, you're looking for dry centers. The outside of the wood can be soaked, but still usable if you know how to get to the dry heart. So select your wood that's off the ground, leaners, dead standing, anything not wicking water from the soil, as ground wood is a sponge for moisture. Set your blade straight on the end grain and strike it squarely with a baton, seating the blade before you drive the knife. Don't pry the knife through thick material, but just drive the blade through. Your goal is to crack the casing and expose the dry core. Once it opens, ignore the wet, dark, shiny outside. Work the light-colored interior. That's your fuel. From that interface, you can shave feather sticks, split pencil-thick kindling, and work your way up. Remember, in wet conditions, thin to win. Thin burns first, thick burns later. So in these conditions, we cannot just build our fire on the mineral soil, as in this situation, the ground becomes a heat sink that will steal your flame before it ever has a chance to live. So first we have to create a base, and we're going to do that by laying down some material split faces up. So we're building an insulating floor that keeps the heat from bleeding into the mud and ice. Second, we'll add some cross pieces. Think of it like building a pallet. Air can move under it, water can drain away, and your fire stays elevated and dry. Third, place your tinder or feather sticks on top of that platform, not beside it. The first flame must live in dry air, not wet soil. Next, build your fire structure over the platform. A teepee fire or a lean-to, something that's small and tight to let the heat rise, let air flow, and let moisture fall away. A platform fire isn't about comfort, it's about survival physics, insulation, airflow, and drainage. If your fire touches the wet ground, you're losing the fight before it ever starts.
Under stress. Skills proven in rain and in snow hold up everywhere. If you want to actually practice this with some like-minded individuals, we're currently running a live cold, wet weather survival lab right now inside of our Wilderness Mastery School. Fire, shelter, heat management, and real AARs from people just like you training in this same type of weather. The link is in the description. If you're serious about training, we'll see you there.